Hi, it's Katrina with SACDOwn 5. We're here at Assemblyman Rob Bonta's office on the Capitol grounds in Sacramento talking about criminal justice. And there's some bills that Assemblyman Rob Bonta has taken on, AB 32 and 33. We're going to be talking about those and learn a little bit about them.
Yeah.
Thank you again for your time.
My pleasure.
And share with us a little bit about what AB 32 and 33 are about and why you decided to take them on and what kind of impact you're expecting.
Absolutely. Both AB 32 and AB 33 are about California's relationship to for-profit private prisons. And AB 32 asks that California end its relationship and use of for-profit private prisons going forward. AB 33 asks that our two big retirement funds, CalSTRS and CalPERS, disinvest from for-profit private prison companies. Literally, for-profit private prisons are Wall Street-owned companies that have a motive to maximize profits and give the most profit to their shareholders. So they're not doing what we want them to do in California, which is to invest in our people, invest in rehabilitation programs that help for successful reentry and reduce recidivism. So this has become a very popular bill among a lot of my colleagues. I'm very proud to have support from so many of them. The governor mentioned the idea of no longer using for-profit private prisons in his inaugural address. So we're excited about the prospect.
So as far as the actual privatized prisons, a lot of people aren't really familiar with what that means. What's the difference between the privatized prisons? Why were we using them before? And if you wouldn't mind answering, by getting rid of them, what would happen to the surplus prisoners? Because there is an understanding that once you, by law, hit a certain percentage when it comes to prisoners in our state system, that there's got to be something in place to take over the surplus of prisoners. And then as far as rehabilitation goes, which is a big topic right now when it comes to prisons, what could we expect by getting rid of privatized prisons or not using them any longer? And what is the state prison system really doing with that, if that's something you can comment on?
Yeah, all great questions. So the for-profit private prisons are corporate entities. They purchase a facility and then they hire their own workers to work inside the facility, and it's very different than a public facility where there's more transparency and accountability and oversight, where it's our state employees that are operating facilities based on our regulations and our goals and the service to the state of California to achieve what we want, which is to invest in Californians who are here, who are going to get out, who need to be successful when they get out, who need to be trained, who need to get potentially mental health services or drug rehabilitation or anger management services, and to really provide a pathway to success after they paid their debt to society and are back in our communities. For-profit private prisons don't care about that. They care about their profit. That's what they're designed to do. It's not it's the way they're structured. It's the way they're incented to keep costs to a minimum and to maximize profits for their shareholders. And so they're very different approaches to how we support our prisoners in the state of California, and will lead to very different outcomes.
You did touch on something that I'm really intrigued about. Rehabilitation, again, is a big topic here. In California, what are we doing in our state prison systems that is offering that? There have been articles that have talked about that actually doesn't really produce, because we're seeing a lot of prisoners who go back out not having the support system they need or the mental health that they need, and they end up back in the system again. There's a cost to it, to the state and to taxpayers. Aside from that, again, going back to the human side of it, not giving people who, when you get something like that on your record and go back, it's a very hard thing to pick up. It's not like you go right back into the system and you're accepted. So for them to have those hardships and then extra obstacles along the way, how do we expect, as a lawmaker here in California, what kind of laws are we working on here that are going to actually help people? I get the privatization side of it and the fact that the concept of getting the state involved in the rehabilitation side and giving resources, but what are we really doing? Is it working? And if it's not working, how are we going to fix it?
Right.
Where's the magic wand? I want to see that.
It's a continuum.
Right.
And since I've been here, and I've been here 6 years, I'm starting my 7th year, we have taken more and more steps on the pathway to more justice reinvestment and less punitive warehousing of prisoners, more commitment to successful reentry and the mission of rehabilitation. Are we where we need to be? Ultimately, no. Are we moving in the right direction? Absolutely. So what kinds of things are we doing? We're providing opportunities for education while in prison so that you can have degrees, training certificates that you can use to support you and be successful once you get out. We're making sure that if you're eligible for things like Medi-Cal or other government services, you can get signed up, and you will receive those as soon as you get out of prison. We're helping make sure that you have a driver's license when you come out, so you have an ID that can help you to do the things of daily living that we all take for granted. Issue after issue and improvement after improvement, we've been trying to build a stronger path from a locked facility in a state prison to successful life outside. We know that our Californians are going to be reentering. They're going to serve their sentences. Their debt will be paid to society, and then we expect them to be successful. But we basically tie one hand behind their back and make it so difficult for them to be successful. Harder to get jobs, harder to get housing.
And then we get shocked when they're back in the system, or they're exhausted from not being able to succeed out in public.
And then we lament our sky high recidivism rates. You know, those sky high recidivism rates are exactly what the system has been designed to do.
Right.
And so we need to redesign the system so that they go down, and that's what we're doing.
So do you feel, again, you're a very active legislator, you're known for these types of issues, and I think a lot of people appreciate that this dialogue is being had. My final question for you is, do you feel that other legislators and lawmakers here in California are in line with your way of thinking about this and your approach and the direction, your optimism?
I do. I feel like I'm part of a movement that many are a part of. Many come at from different directions, and different issues speak to them. But a lot of support for the for-profit private prison bill and the use of those in California. A lot of support for the expungement bill that I've authored as well. Right. And so and others are bringing their own ideas to the table. I think there's the general acceptance, like it's not controversial to say our criminal justice system is broken and that we need to bring more justice to our criminal justice system to make it fairer, to make people safer, to make if you want to have a financial analysis of it, to make the financial investments have more return. It's broken in so many ways, morally, fiscally, safety-wise, and that's not controversial at all. Maybe it was at one point in California, but most people believe that, and we all have healthy debate over how best to fix it. But I think there's a general belief that reform is needed, and we're providing a lot of approaches that I think make us safer, make us more just, make our system more fair, and are better uses of our valuable public tax dollars.
Well, I think a lot of people appreciate hearing that, because obviously fiscally it's a big cost to our state. And the reform piece of it across the board on social media, I'm hearing that is a big discussion that most people want to see. They support the idea. It's a matter of figuring out what is needed. And again, thank you for your time and for putting effort into this topic, because it's not an easy one, and we totally empathize on that. Stay tuned, and Assemblyman Bonta, make sure he has a website, he has content up there, different bills that he's taking on if you want to learn more, also on how to get involved. Bay Area elected official. We want to see more elected officials involved the way he's gotten involved in this topic. So thank you so much for the ads and follows again. Sacktown 5. We'll be covering more of these.